Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Over the years I've spent a lot of time standing in front of this machine right here, and by my best estimation I'm talking probably about 20,000 hours I've spent standing in front of this machine. Now I haven't had a wheel guard on for any of those hours, but you do you, wheel guards are important, all that. One thing I have had going this whole time is my dust collector. This thing right here is the unsung hero of the grinding shop. And the thumbnail you read is not overly dramatic. I literally do believe I owe my life to this thing because it's been running for every single minute that this has been running. And of course, this thing's job is to suck in and retain all the nasty grit that comes off of these grinding wheels. So it clearly doesn't get a whole ton of love. Normally it spends most of its time collecting magnetic things and being a tabletop. But from time to time, I do give it love and I service it. And today we're going to do that. I'm going to clean it up, give it some love, and show you guys exactly how it works. So that cleaned up pretty nice, considering, of course, that it's well over 30 years old and it's been living in a shop this whole time. I'm happy with that. Now, you may have noticed this thing. This is a constant reminder to me that not all ideas are good ideas. And so I'm taking this off of here. It doesn't need to be here. It's just been threatening to come down on my head all these years, so this is coming off. Originally, I was imagining that this would be a welding fume sucker-upper, but as it turns out, this machine doesn't put out the right type of suction to move a whole volume of air. It's meant more for having the operator fire sparks right down its throat, and then it takes them from there. So great at collecting grinding dust, not great for welding smoke. This next part's pretty lame. Nuts, bolts, wrenches, not too much exciting happening here. So I figured I'd show you guys, but just power through it by putting this thing on time lapse so that it passes by more quickly. I'm going to cut this thing off with the plasma cutter. Can't really reach the welds with an angle grinder, and this thing's a lot heavier than it looks, so I don't feel like taking it off of this little roller stand. I really don't care what it looks like, so it's just getting hacked off. Now that that's taken care of and its home is all nice and cleaned up, I'm going to wheel it back into place and then we'll start taking it apart and have a look inside. This is a beautiful setup with this thing just living right here between these two machines. As you can see, the hoses reach each machine, and so I don't have to mess with hoses every time I go to a new machine. It's a pretty wonderful setup. Let's start by having a look in the dust collection area here. This may or may not be embarrassing depending on how much dust I've allowed to accumulate in here since I cleaned it last. We are about to find out together. It's not shameful. There's a bit, but that's certainly not shameful. Now that's some nasty stuff. Carbide, silicon oxide, some silicon carbide, different types of M2 tool steel and M42. I mean, certainly not having this blowing around in the air I breathe is a wonderful thing. The way this thing works is the suction is up here in the top, and there's these 23 bags hanging here, and the dust comes in through the bottom, tries to go up but can't get past the bags, and then when you rattle this foot pedal, it rattles the bags and the dust falls into the pan, thereby cleaning the bags. And this thing just stands up like a champ. These are all the original bags, and I would know right away if this thing was leaking in any way, because it would be blowing whatever I sucked up straight out of here. and nothing escapes this thing. It's just beautiful. Let's take a look in the motor compartment now and see what's going on inside here. Here you can see the top of those bags and how clean they are. You can also see that there's some wire mesh in there, and the idea behind that wire mesh is it doesn't allow the vacuum that this blower creates to crush the bags. So the bags are always kind of open on both sides, and it really increases airflow and as well as how much surface area there is here for the actual filtering operation. Now up in here is pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. We've got a beautiful Baldor motor running a squirrel cage type blower, and that provides all the suction and the discharge of the clean air. There's really nothing to service inside here. There's no grease points or other lubrication points. So I'm going to button this thing back up, put it back together. So this thing's ready for use. Now, since I've owned this, I have had to replace the hoses. It came with some sort of fabric covered hoses that the grinding sparks ate through after a number of years. I've had these rubber hoses on here. They're thick rubber exhaust hoses. They've been on here for decades and they're not going anywhere. Get on there. There we go. The only other thing that I've changed or simply done to this is I've put several new cord ends on. But other than that, this thing has required pretty much zero maintenance beyond the cleaning out of the collection pan inside. Again, there's no lubrication points. The bags have never gone bad or torn or given me any sort of trouble whatsoever. Now, I hope you don't think this is too boring a video, because it's not the most exciting topic, but I'll tell you, this is probably the most valuable piece of equipment to have in a grinding operation. This thing is literally going to save lives. Just one final thing before we go here. You know, most times if you have a vacuum cleaner or something, you change the vacuum bag. The first time you fire up the vacuum, there's this almighty explosion of dust into your area. Not this thing. After all these years, it's still sealed up tight as a drum. First run after being cleaned and serviced. Nothing's coming out. It's as happy as can be. I'm super thankful to have this machine. So this is a Kaoli brand. There's no tag on it. I can't tell you what model number it is of Kaoli machine, but it's definitely a Kaoli machine, and I've had it since new. Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.